Hello, and welcome to this Ingram Micro webinar for AWS. My name is Stuart Laurie. I'm an AWS Solutions Architect working at Ingram Micro. This will be a short webinar to look at MFA. It will cover the basics of what MFA is, and I'll do a demo at the end and also provide some links just to give you some more information about enabling MFA and what this importance is. We're going to cover this agenda. As I say, it will be brief, but I'll keep it fairly brief anyway. But just to look at the key aspects and key points about what MFA is and why you should use it. So, what is MFA? MFA is an abbreviation for multi-factor authentication. It's also known and referenced by different terms, such as 2FA, two-factor authentication, OTP, one-time password, also known as PIN codes, two-step authentication. It can be known as many different things. But generally speaking, most people refer to it now as MFA as a general and common term. But you can see it still referred to in other ways sometimes. Regardless of what you call it, it's still the same thing. It's a second layer of security to protect your login accounts by having a device that generates a code. It provides a second layer of security in that it's something that you have over something that you know. So something you know would be your password, something you have would be an MFA device, whether it be physical or otherwise. There are three main types of MFA devices. First of all, you have the Authentication app, which is probably arguably the most common these days to be used. Things like Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator are very commonplace now and easy to use because obviously they're just available on your mobile phone. You can also use security keys. These are generally USB plug-in keys that require a physical device to be plugged into your machine and then some kind of authentication through touch or possibly even biometrics. And you can also have hardware tokens. These are kind of the original, if you like. You'll see here the RSA tokens, and they've been around many years and were introduced pretty much when second factor authentication came into play. They are a physical device basically that generates a random code, just like the Authenticator apps do. So why should I use MFA? Well, potentially there's more of an argument to say, why wouldn't you use MFA? The convenience of your Authenticator apps and everyone having a phone in their hand, there are just no barriers now, and your level of access and security is just greatly increased by having this secondary avenue for logging into your accounts. Of course, it's part of the AWS best practice guidelines to have MFA enabled on all accounts, root and all IAM users. But generally, it's widely accepted as a common standard across all access for any accounts, any service that you're using. Basically, you should have the two-step in the something you know, a password, either something you have in your head or something in a password manager perhaps, and then something that you have, so an MFA device, the device token, authenticator app. And that then just secures having that separation, that kind of air gap between the two things. So it secures your logon. Getting access to MFA has been simplified greatly. Most environments now, whether it be AWS or otherwise, have really refined the process for setting up MFA. It used to be quite complicated in terms of setting up codes and issuing them to users, but now it's pretty straightforward. As you can see here from this image from the AWS accounts, it's already prompting you in 3 locations just on your dashboard that there's a security recommendation. It's also highlighting you need to add MFA and then even giving you a button there to go straight in to do it. So it's nice and straightforward to set up, but we'll cover this off more when we get to the demo. What if I lose my MFA? Well, that's obviously a key situation to consider. But to negate that, then you've got the possibility to add up to 8 MFA devices assigned to one account. And that can be a combination of the tokens. It can be a combination of different authenticator apps. It can be multiple entries in one authenticator app. Basically, it doesn't really matter. You can have a couple of ways to get back into your account as long as you set it up initially. If you are an IAM user in terms of AWS and you lose your MFA or it gets lost, stolen, or damaged, then basically you can go to your root account or administrator to deactivate the device, and then they can set you up with a new device, or you can set it up yourself to get you back in again. So it's quite straightforward to do if you're just a standard user and have an administrator to be able to do that for you. Equally, if you lose it for your root account, there are ways to get back into that by using the phone number that's registered or the email address that's registered. I'm just going through a few kind of authentication steps, basically to get access back into the MFA. Now, in some circumstances where you might have lost root account access or not have access to the email address that's been registered or access to the phone that was registered, there are some alternatives to get access. There's basically you have to go through a signed statutory declaration. It's a form that needs to be filled out and then submitted to AWS. It has to be witnessed by either a notary public, a solicitor, a barrister, some kind of legal executive or licensed conveyancer. So it's not straightforward by any means, and it might cost you a little bit of money to get that authorization done. But there are ways to get back in, and just good for you to know that in all cases, basically, there is some way you can get back into your account if you've got MFA enabled, but you lose the device or lose access to it. Okay, so we'll jump into a demo and we'll just kind of review how you get access to setting up MFA. Okay, so here I am at the AWS console sign-in page, and I'm just going to log in with this dummy account. It's MFA user 1. Password's already in there, so we'll do a sign in. Hasn't got MFA enabled at the moment, so we'll just sign me straight into the page. So let's have a quick look around first, basically, to see what we've got going on. So as I showed in the information, if you go into security credentials, you'll see here basically that it's giving you lots of alerts around enabling MFA. It's kind of giving you a highlight here. You don't have MFA assigned, giving you a button nice and easy to do it from this point of view. If we go to the identity dashboard, again, like we saw earlier on the screen, it's giving you that recommendation. It's calling out you don't have MFA, giving you access to do it. And equally, if we go into the user account and look at my MFA user 1 here, it's again telling me it's basically enabled without MFA. So no matter where you go, basically, the system's trying to tell you you need to put MFA in place. So that's fine. Let's go do that. Click on here. We'll go enable MFA. This will take you to the screen that we saw again from the demo, from the slides. So we're going to put in here a device name. Now this is your device, what you're going to put the MFA onto. So we're going to use the Authenticator app. So I've just got a phone here with Microsoft Authenticator on it. And I'm just going to give that phone a name. So let's just call it the Samsung. Let's call it MFA. Let's call it test 1, just so we've got some reference. Doesn't matter what we say, as you can see here, you maximum 128 characters, and you can use alphanumeric details as well. So we're using the app, and we do next. So here it's asking us to do one of a couple of things. We can either basically pull out a QR code, so read it from the screen, or if you don't have the functionality for QR code, you can actually show a secret key here, type it into your phone. Not the easiest way to do it. So we're going to stick with the QR code here, basically. Click on that, and then I'm just going to go to the phone. I'm going to open up the Authenticator, and then I'll try and put a screenshot in later on, just to demonstrate where you click on the device, and you add in details, and just kind of hover your phone over the screen to take capture of that. And it's kind of picked up the MFA. It's basically put that entry into the Authenticator basically now. So I have an entry on my phone that says Amazon Web Services. It's kind of authenticated against that QR code. And if I go into that, it's giving me some digits. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the first code in that's displaying on the screen on my phone. And now I have to wait for that to reset. And I put the second code in. So the codes on the Authenticator apps basically just run for about 30 seconds or so, and then they refresh themselves. So we're just going to wait for that to go through. There we go. put that through and do add MFA. And that's it. Bob's your uncle. We are now enabled with MFA. We've got green bar. The system's happy. Everything's hunky-dory. So if I was to sign out now of this device, we're going to log back in. Let me just get my details. I did not store this in my password manager, just because I'm going to get rid of it as soon as I finished this demo. And if I do sign in, I'm getting prompted now for the MFA code. So if I just go to my phone, I just installed that onto, type in that code, and there we go. So I had a password, something that I knew, and then I have a device in my hand as well. So if for any reason, if these are separated, or if it's not me logging in, basically, then it knows about it and is secured. So there we have it. Simple as that. Before I sign off, actually, I just want to show you something else. So we talked earlier about you have multiple MFAs. So if I go into my account here under security credentials, here is where my multi-factor authentication devices are currently sitting. So here's the one I enabled already 4 minutes ago. And you can see here when I can go ahead and just assign another MFA device, go through the same process. I can put in some more details. So let's just do test 2, just make it nice and simple. Step through, and if we go another secure code, and then that's kind of come across as well, and we put that codes in, just changed, of course it did, and we'll wait the 30 seconds for the next one. And there we go. So you can see here, it's just taken another MFA device basically. So I can use either of those now when I'm logging in to connect. And equally, if you want to get rid of one or one's been lost or stolen, you click on the device. Hopefully you've given it a good reference or testing name and do remove. You also have the function here as well to resync. So if it does get out of sync for any reason, and I've never seen that happen, you can just resync the device from here, and that will take you through a few steps to get that sorted out. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that as well for additional information to show how easy it is to add more than one device. Thank you. Hi, so just coming back out of that demo. So I said I'd try and get some screen grabs for you. So here you go. So just to give you an idea of what that looked like from the phone side when you were setting up the authentication app. So I've used, say, Microsoft Authenticator here. With that running on the phone, basically I've just gone into here and I've clicked the plus. So there's a little plus here in the top right-hand corner. That's asked me to add an account. I have options here, personal account, work account. I basically selected the other, Google, Facebook, something else, doesn't really matter. So I've clicked on here, the other Google. It's then brought up a screen basically asking me to scan that QR code. So I literally point the phone and its camera at the screen where the QR code was shown in the demo. That will then automatically read the code, and it should just automatically then add the entry into Authenticator. There's the option there to add the code manually, where we talked about actually getting that 24-digit code or whatever it was basically from the screen. Again, QR code, much easier, of course. And that's the final bit. So there you can see the Amazon Web Services account, the test 2, which was the second one we put on there, basically the second code put on there. And there's the code that it's showing, and there's the countdown for the 30 seconds. Okay. So that concludes basically our run round of MFA and what it's all about. Here are some links which you're welcome to go and look at. Basically, if you search on Amazon for MFA, you'll find lots of good information about the solution, how you can recover from if you've lost it, etc. But if you want access to these, I'm sure there'll be a way to download this later on or take a screen grab and type out these very long URLs. Anyway, thank you for listening. See you next time.